Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the last day of 7-day faculty development program on evolving research paradigm in forensic science. We were fortunate enough to have 6 successful and enriching days of FDP. Today, being the last day, will be no less informative. We will listen to a session on what we all academicians want to hear the most. What does my institution require from me as an academician? Quality is a never-ending journey. It is a team effort of everyone in an organization to fulfill certain norms set by the organization itself or by some assessing or regulatory body. Today, quality is understood to be a quantifiable entity, and some of the quality parameters are scored in numbers. One such parameter is the research score of academician and academic institute. Institution has always sought to increase their research score among academicians working in the institute and of the institute as a whole. This is one major target to be achieved every year by the academicians and sometimes feel like a burden thrust upon us. Today's talk is titled Institution Research Quality, Attempt to Address this Stigma. We have in our midst Dr. Justin Micheal, Director, Center for Research at Kristu Jayanti College today. Sir has been an instrumental force in our college's research endeavors and has contributed greatly to the research output of our college. Our college, now being re-accredited by NAC with A++ grade and a CGPA of 3.78, owes it to some of our IQAC stalwarts, one among which is Dr. Justin Micheal. Dr. Micheal, as we call him, is a professor of management and currently works at the School of Management, Kristu Jayanti College, Bangalore. His interests span international financial management and financial econometrics. Sir earned his PhD in finance from Annamalai University, Tamil Nadu, and has further specialized in international financial management, accounting and finance, data analysis for social science research using SPSS, FAST, and eView. Sir is the editor of the Kristu Jayanti Journal of Management Sciences, KJMS. Sir is also a member of the editorial board of the Journal of Finance, Policy and Economy, University of Columbia, South America, and other popular international journals. Sir has authored a book titled Non-Performing Assets in Cooperative Bank and paper in reputed journals. Sir has a rich experience in the internal quality assurance cell at Kristu Jayanti College and has spearheaded the research file of the college during the past NAG cycles. Sir presently also serves as the Director, Center for Research, and has brought about many new welfare and improvement measures passionately to improve the quality and quantity of research from our college. With such a rich experience, we feel honored by Sir's presence in our midst today. With this, I hand over the session to Sir. Now, over to you, Sir.
Very good afternoon to everyone present here in this virtual FDP. At the outset, I express my heartfelt thanks to Professor Callistus Jude, the Dean, Faculty of Sciences, Dr. LC, and especially to Professor Don Cairo, the head of the Department of Forensic Sciences. And thank you, Ms. Chetna, for your nice introduction. And it is really nice to meet all of you on this virtual platform. Right. So I'm just going to talk about some of the vital aspects of an institution's research requirements. So I will just be highlighting upon already Ms. Chetna touched upon the API parameters. So I'll just touch upon that, then focus on the different or the most important aspects of research output in an institution. So all of us know the importance of the academic performance indicators. So a faculty's performance is very much measured by various parameters. So they are teaching, learning, evaluation, then you have research. So research forms a major component of this academic performance indicator. So when you look at the metrics or the measurement of the other pillars, like teaching, learning, or administration, you do not have a kind of a metric for scoring it, but then you have qualitative metrics like good, satisfactory, or average. So that way it is measured, that is teaching, learning, and administration. But when it comes for research, every research output has got some kind of a score. So we need to look at that aspect primarily. So we need to, first of all, understand that a research contribution by a faculty member not only contributes to a research primarily, it contributes to the development of the individual. So the academic progression of a faculty member is very much dependent on the research output of a faculty member. So I have taken this directly from the UGC regulations on minimum qualifications for appointment of teachers and other academic staff in universities and colleges, and measures for the maintenance of standards in higher education 2018. So these are regulations given by the UGC, and every college and university has adopted this, and then they have made some changes, minor changes to these regulations. So the API indicators are very much based on three categories, that is teaching, learning, evaluation, administration, and research. So I'm not going to talk about that in detail. I'm just giving you a highlight that it is the focus area for us where we need to move forward when we talk about research. Yeah. Okay. So some of the most important key aspects or key indicators in the research score calculation of the academic performance indicators, I've just put some of them. So all of us know the first item definitely in our mind, and also what UGC has put in, is the research publication output of an individual. So we are looking at the quality of the research output, and therefore the weightage given for the quality publications in terms of publication in the Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 journals. And more specifically, we're talking about Scopus, Web of Science, and Sci-Index journals that carries a higher weightage. And now we also have the UGC CARE index list. So you have UGC CARE Category 1 and Category 2. So the Category 1 are some of the journals that are published in India. And therefore, this is just to talk about publication in quality journals. So we're not emphasizing any other publications in any other journals, but only those which are indexed either in UGC or in Scopus, Web of Science, and Sci. The other publications in the form of books, chapters, or edited editions also are considered for the research score. And a change that has been brought about is any innovation that has been brought in by the faculty member in bringing in ICT and also in terms of pedagogy. The next aspect is research guidance, and all of us know that there is a weightage for guiding PhD, and it is not MPhil, so for ongoing PhD and also for completion. Research projects is something that all of us can harp upon. So we're talking about, I'll come to that a little later, so different types of research projects that we can work on, and consultancy projects where the faculty provide their services to industry. Then intellectual property creation and generation in the form of patents, copyrights, etc. Certain policies that have been developed, and also awards and fellowships for research and for innovation. So just to give you an idea that this is something that is directly connected to our performance, and therefore it is important that we give more significance to research in our career as teachers. So I will just talk about research projects and patents first, and then go for publications, because I think publications will take a longer time, and therefore I will, depending upon the time, I will shorten the segment on publications. So I'm not going to talk too much about research projects. So research projects can be categorized into two. One is research projects funded by external agencies. So we're talking about government agencies, non-government agencies, and also private corporations and organizations. So it is imperative that as an institution, we identify the various avenues from which we can raise funding for our projects. So all of us in the forum know about DBT and DST. Then in Karnataka, we have the Vision Group. Then in social sciences, we have ICSSR and so many other funding agencies. And various NGOs also have come forward to provide funds to higher education institutions to undertake research. Uh, as we have witnessed in our institution, we find that this funding, though there is a lot of potential in our institutions, it is very difficult to obtain funds for all the projects that we have in an institution. And therefore, the institutions themselves can come out with certain funding for research projects. So we have just done that at Kristu Jayanti College. We also have an institutional funding in order to facilitate funding for all the disciplines and all the departments in the college. Because what happens is some of these research funding or by external agencies are focused only on certain disciplines and certain, let us say, specific areas. So there are certain areas and subjects where people are finding it difficult to raise funds, and therefore the institutions can come forward, set up a kind of a corpus, and from there they can provide funding for these projects. And also another initiative that is being promoted by UGC and also different fora in higher education is that institutions need to set up seed money for research. And I'm sure that all your institutions also will be providing seed money for research. So it is not only for research projects, but also for any kind of a publication that we undertake. So there are a lot of agencies. So it is just finding out when these agencies will be calling in for, having a system in place where there will be a review of these projects, and also providing a kind of a smooth pathway so more and more projects get funded at the institution. What we notice across the nation is that the projects and funds are very much focused on few departments or few individuals. So as an institution, we need to diversify and make it a point that every department gets highlighted and every department is able to obtain these funds. So when I design the research, when I'm going to plan the research, what is the different stages? And if I have multiple researchers working with me under in the same project, or if it is multiple authors, what are the roles? What are the responsibilities? And also, we also, when we publish our work, we give a kind of a conflict of interest, or we certain journals also expect us to spell out what is the role of each individual author. So at the time of research design, because it is ethical for us to respect the integrity of the other person also with whom we are collaborating, and therefore to have a clarity about this plan, roles, and responsibilities. The research questions and documentation. So every research starts with the question. So the questions have to be very, very clear. They have to be very focused. They have to be nuanced in the sense that a quality research is not a confirmation of what has already happened. It can be there, but then if I'm going to repeat something that has already been done, then it is not research. So I'm just reproducing somebody has been done. I'm just saying in different words. So that is not research. It has to be something new. There has to be at least a step new. And so there has to be a nuanced process, a logical way in which we have arrived at these research implications or research questions or hypotheses, and how are we documenting the process? So every stage. So I know that I'm talking to scientists on the other side, and all of you are very, very familiar with this documenting every aspect of your experiment, and therefore you know how important it is to document every stage so that you are able to say that your work is very authentic. The review is important. Now what happens is when we publish, a new trend is that they are looking at already done reviews and then they are adopting them. It is not so. It has to be done from the original work, something that is relevant to my area of study or to the research topic, and it has to be significant as well. So it is not everything under the sun, but then it has to be something that is relevant and significant. Uh, whether it is social sciences or whether it is physical sciences or whether it is your own discipline, it is important that we adhere to the norms and the principles laid down by a discipline when it comes for data collection. If it is an experimental study or if it is a field study, how do we gather the data? What are the research methods that we are using for collecting the data? And also the analytical approaches that we are using in our research design. So the data collection method or the way in which the data is collected or the way in which we are analyzing, etc., it has to be very appropriate for the research study. And very importantly, it should be reproducible. Whatever methodology I am undertaking, it has to be reproducible, probably in some other context or in some other city or some other country. Otherwise, if it is not reproducible, that means my research is not reliable and not valid. And so, to be of high quality, somebody should be able to say, I'm getting the same results if the same methodology is being followed. Perhaps there might be some kind of if I'm conducting the same study with the same sample, I should be able to get the same result. So if I am not able to do it, that means it is not a reproducible methodology. So we have to be very, very careful when we do that. And it should be in a way that wherever it is being interpreted, the interpretation or the way in which it's going to be interpreted must be uniform. It should be very uniform. It should be something that is very naive. Now, the second segment that GARP talks about is integrity when we conduct research. So there should be, when we research execution, documentation, and data storage. So we should take utmost care when we are executing the research. So I have not stood in front of all your electronic gadgets when you are doing some research. All of you know that if you are in your lab, how careful you are with even the minutest of organism and minutest of, let us say, the compound, whatever you are dealing with. So even when it comes to social sciences, utmost care has to be taken when it comes for executing or carrying out the research. Because if we are not very careful with the way in which we're executing it, the results of our research will be affected. So if we need to get the right results, we have to be very methodical, careful, and meticulous when we carry out the research and record every aspect of this research. Because in case some step in our research goes wrong, we need to go back and come back once again. So we need to know where we have gone wrong. So here also, the emphasis universally is that there should be replication ability. So my method, my execution of research has to be replicated. And nowadays, some of the journals even ask you to send you the samples. For example, if the social science, they ask you for the data set, and probably for you, they'll be asking you somewhere some access to the specimen. So in case somebody else want to verify whatever you have found out, so that replication ability is also important when we execute research. This all of us talk about it nowadays. Like, when I did my PhD, there was not much talk about plagiarism, or we were not talking about Turnitin or let us say authenticate and all that. But now, even the undergrad students talk about, like, I need to get my plagiarism check report. So when you submit your project, so it has become, our nation has become so conscious of this because we know the implications, because plagiarism is a criminal offense. So you can see the guidelines that I had mentioned earlier, that UGC actually, the implication is it is taken as a criminal offense. So it is kind of a very, very dangerous aspect. So we have to be very careful and stay away from any kind of fabrication. So if you do not get a significant result, so in the rush, maybe some kind of information gets fabricated. So that is unethical. So any fabrication, any falsification of the data or any falsification of the result, and also plagiarizing any information of somebody else are all serious crimes. And this will be taken into task very, very seriously by the institution academic integrity panel. So every institution has got an academic integrity panel that looks into any kind of allegations from anywhere, from any source, whether it is fabrication, falsification, or plagiarism. I'm sure that all the institutions that you represent would be having code of ethics and research, which will be outlining what does it mean to what is fabrication, what is falsification, etc., spelled out, so that people do not overstep and then land into that problem. And also, what are the implications, what are the penalties if at all somebody is proved to indulge in such practices. So that will be outlined in the code of ethics and research at various institutions. Today, research is collaborative. So it is not just in the institution, it's inter-institution, and sometimes it is international. And therefore, there has to be a clear-cut understanding, or it is not just a verbal understanding. If at all you are working with the same person for many years, that is fine. But then a kind of a documentary understanding where you're saying that what is the extent of collaboration and who would be doing what part of the work. Therefore, you're able to claim which part of the research work is yours. And also the authorship when it comes to which segment of the output, who's the author, etc. And all of this leads to creation of intellectual property. And so copywriting information or patenting it in the form or obtaining patents also is imperative when you talk about good academic research practices. The third segment talks about a dissemination of research output. So where all of us have been asking this question. So everybody asks, please tell me where I should publish. Please suggest one journal. So the moment somebody sees the head of the department, they would walk to them, or somebody who has published, they say, please suggest a journal. Okay, so it is important for us to identify the right medium for publication, because today there is a even past few days at Kristu Jayanti that there have been a lot of verification of the research output of faculty members. So we still find that in spite of so much of awareness and alerts being given by various departments in the institutions, that we still have uh, predatory and cloned journals prevalent. So there are certain journals which are hijacked. So the gullible research authors do not know the difference between the original and the, let us say, fake journal or hijacked journal or cloned journal. So how do we find that out? The UGC Care portal has come out with a list of identified cloned journals. So they have given you the original version and the cloned version. So in our institution, we have this habit of sending periodical alerts about such journals. So, a very simple tips. Don sir is the expert in our institution when it comes to talking about this. I know you can ask any more questions about how to identify a cloned or a predatory journal. Some simple things are there. So, for example, when you take the journal, when you just look at the quality of the paper, right? So, first thing is the quality of the paper. Second, you just compare one issue and the other, whether they have followed the same format. Usually, standard journals, even a journal coming out from our own institution, we have very, very tight specifications when it comes to the size of the journal, when it comes to the color of the journal title page, and then we are following the standard logo, and inside also we have this format is the same. So you just have to glance through a few pages and then you'll know that it is not a authentic journal. Uh, Another simple way of finding out is, for example, if you have publishing in a journal called as, let us say, a Chinese journal. Okay, a Chinese journal, right? You have very funny names which come there. A very simple thing is go to the website of that university and just find out what is that journal about. And most often, the Chinese journal, the language will be in Chinese. So the question is, if it is a Chinese journal, how come they are accepting English? Automatically, it means that it is a kind of a hijacked journal. Or it may be a print journal and then they are coming out with an online version. So all these should give us certain questions in our mind to question whether it is the right publication. So we are not talking about the monetary loss that an author incurs when you send it to a cloned or a fake journal. The research work is lost. The effort that the researcher puts in for months is lost, because what happens is a clone journal generally publishes the information on the internet. For example, if I have an article with a title, let us say sustainability in, let us say, higher education institutions, I have an article in that and then I have published in a clone journal. Definitely it will be there on the website. If I realize, oh, it is a clone journal, let me redraft it and send it to some other journal. Automatically it will come as self-plagiarized. So the work is lost. We cannot in fact, even consider it in our own academic performance indicator. The reason is, 2 years back, Nagpur University had given a kind of a memo to professors who had published in cloned and predatory journals. Though it is not the error of, so I might claim that it is not my mistake. I didn't know that it was a cloned journal. The authorities take it very, very seriously because, very seriously when it comes for the career advancement of the individual. So it cannot be counted even for the research scope. So that's why I said the research work is lost. And when an institution has got a large number of publications in cloned or predatory journals, so there is a kind of a negative marking when it goes for national level ranking, etc. So it is a kind of a very serious affair. When we publish in a cloned or a predatory or a hijacked journal. So it is important as an individual researcher to research the journal before sending your article. Please don't ask, don't say that Nelson sir was the resource person, so let me ask him. So please tell me whether this journal is authentic. So it is a responsibility of the individual to find out whether this journal is authentic or not. So very simple way of finding out is in Scopus, they give you the journal website or the link to the journal. It takes us directly to the homepage of the journal. So that is the right path rather than accessing the journal. In case, for example, even today, some of you would have got a mail from some kind of a journal promising you that they will publish in 24 hours. The moment you hear 24 hours and 2 days, automatically it should ring a bell that it is not a right journal, because a good journal will not publish anything in just 2 days. It will take months. So even to accept an article, it takes months because the entire peer review process is cumbersome and it takes a long time. So rather than clicking the homepage of the journal from the email, it is good to go to Scopus or Web of Science and then go to the homepage of the journal. Or if it is Elsevier or you have Sage or Taylor and Francis, you can go to their website and find out the journal. So choosing the right journal is very much dependent on the scope of the journal. So I need to identify whether my article is fitting the scope of a particular journal. For example, if I have written a paper in the field of finance and I am publishing in forensic sciences, then automatically there will be a question mark whether that journal is authentic. That means that there was no proper peer review process because an entirely different genre of research has been published in forensic science. That means the journal's authenticity will be questioned. So that cannot happen. So there might be certain journals which are soliciting you and telling, please send your article, we'll publish it. So any language, any discipline is fine. So these multidisciplinary, or let us say, journals which are talking about combining humanities, sciences, and managements, you should have a lot of questions. So check whether your article and the scope specified on the journal page is matching, then you can go for it. And all of us know about this UGC Care. So you can go inside for any journals that are not there on Scopus to check whether it is UGC Care. So UGC Care also gives you the page. It gives you the original version of the journal. Certain sample pages are given, so you can compare the journal to which you're sending whether it is authentic or not. So I know that all of you are from the sciences, so you may not have much of the issues when it comes to UGC Care. We face a lot of this problem when it comes for humanities and languages because they do not have many Scopus, so they focus on a lot of UGC Care index journals. Just suppose. So I have taken this information from Reasons for Rejection given by Elsevier. So I have taken it from there. The first obvious reason is that it did not meet the requirements of technical screening. So if my article is failing there, automatically gets rejected. Second, if it does not meet the aim and the scope of the journal. Okay, very simple. So if we are publishing in a journal where our article is totally out of scope, that means the journal is not of a very good quality. So we need to think about that. Third, if the article is not complete, that also can lead to a rejection of the journal. Then the procedure, the analysis, or the data seem to be very defective. So it could lead to rejection. The conclusions cannot be justified on the basis of the rest of the paper or it cannot, I spoke about reproducibility, reliability, etc. So that is not there. So a reviewer will be able to find it out as well. If it is simply an extension of a different paper and from the same author or from a different author, so if it is just an extension, Q1, Q2, Q3 journals may not be very, very happy to go for that. Seventh one, it is incomprehensible. So the language has to be clear, concise, it has to be very precise. My favorite, the last one, it has to be interesting. If it is not interesting, then automatically they will be rejecting it. So these are some 8 reasons for rejection. So I'm just putting you some points so that we will be able to write quality journals. So I just think, just a reminder that what we publish, we need to ensure that it is being read and also cited. So it is not that I keep citing my work. Somebody has to be interested to read and also cite, because that is going to increase the H index of the individual and also helps in the academic or the research growth of the individual. So it is going to be based on that. A very interesting document called this Policy Statement on Dissemination and Evaluation of Research Output in India has said that we have to also be very clear about our research in terms of quality and not in terms of quantity. Because of late, everybody is wanting to publish. In social sciences, at least you have, because it's not very much based on experiments, so people keep writing, a lot of publication happens. But then whether it is quality publication, it has to be seen. So this document is saying that the institution whenever any kind of advancement is given for the faculty members, they have also to look into and also ask the faculty members to reiterate in their research whether it is a confirmatory research, whether it is something that has already happened, whether it is incremental research, or whether it is path breaking. So all of us know that quality publication happens when we are looking at something that is path breaking, how we are moving away from whatever has been published. So these are some informations which I thought I will share with you. And being from the Kristu Jayanti College, I thought I'll also do a little bit of promotion and advertisement. So we also have our own institutional journals. And just promoting it. So please send your articles. We just got an update from ISSN. So we hope that very soon we will also be getting our ISSN. So these are some of the journals there. And we're trying to bring it. We're hoping that one day our journals also will be entering into the Q1, Q2, Q3 category. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir, for the eye-opening and interesting session and also patiently answering our queries. And thank you for your time. We are really honored today by your presence.